Although many think that life is something that happens to us and that we are just passive spectators in the arena of life, often its victims, the truth is actually quite the opposite. If we want to grow and be healthy and sovereign adults, we have to take responsibility for our own life. In most cases, persons who are stuck do not accept responsibility for their own lives. They blame other people, they blame their parents, their spouses, their bosses, government, they blame their circumstances, destiny, God. Not accepting responsibility places us in the position of the effect, and vice versa. Accepting responsibility places us in the position of the cause. This is not a blame game. It's not about enforcement of self-blame or releasing other people of their responsibilities. It is just simple logic. Until you accept responsibility for your life, someone else runs your life. If we want to change the subjective reality we are experiencing and successfully use charge integration methods, we must consider the possibility that we created our own problems. What are problems? Problems are negative reactions to situations, or to be more precise, problems are reactions and states that occur when our unconscious goals are threatened. When we recognize those goals, when we make them conscious, the problems they cause will vanish. The only way to recognize unconscious goals is to view them from the same position we created them, which is the point of view of the cause. For example, a student is a victim of abuse, which on one occasion escalates into physical violence by a school bully. To deal with this problem, the student makes a decision not to attract attention to avoid danger, and he assumes the identity an inferior person. Later, as a marketing expert, he is obliged to present his work to the managers of the client companies. Each time before the presentation, his unconscious goal, not to attract attention, to avoid danger, and the identity an inferior person get activated, which results in fear of public performance. Who created the problem fear of public performance? The bully who abused him in school? Or the student when he made a decision not to attract attention, to avoid danger? Following this, we can say that we create our subjective reality through decisions and identities. Until we make those decisions conscious, we will recreate the same reality over and over again. My client Emma was abandoned by her parents in her early childhood, and that girl, to comprehend the situation and to protect herself from the same feelings in the future, made a decision: I cannot be loved, I'm unworthy of love and care. And she assumed the identity of an abandoned person. Later in life, whenever she was in a relationship, that fear of abandonment would echo from the background, and the identity of an abandoned person would activate to protect her. For most of her adult life, this woman had toxic and codependent relationships. She dated abusive people, addicts, disabled people, sick people, basically people who needed her because she assumed if they need her, they won't leave her. But the burden of dependency cannot be borne for long, so eventually the relationship would fall apart and she'd feel abandoned again. So basically, they just reaffirmed her reality based on her decision. I cannot be loved, I'm unworthy of love and care. So it's not that this woman was unlucky and attracted assholes by accident. It is her unconscious decisions and goals that created her reality. So life is not something that happens to us, and we won't change it by waiting, by suppressing negative reactions, by thinking positive, or by, dialing God's number over and over again. We make those decisions to protect ourselves and to prevent the same outcome in the future. And what is the problem with these decisions is they're unconscious, and we cannot fix something that we don't see. And that's why we have charge integration methods that make those unconscious goals and decisions conscious and clear the identities from which we made those decisions. Problems we have and negative situations we experience are just the surface layer of a much bigger structure that is in the unconscious. So although Emma knew she has abandonment issues and self-worth issues, and although she did everything she could, she tried different methods, different healing practices, different approaches to solve her problem, and she did make progress, but she wasn't able to change her experiences because she was unaware of created identities and decisions in her unconscious. By the way, Emma is now expecting her first child at the age of 42 with a wonderful man who doesn't need her, but truly loves her. And she got lucky? No, she just did the work. She recognized the goals from the same position she created them, and she was free to create the desired reality, as we are with these charge integration methods at our disposal.